There has been a silent update to a tool very important to Tacticus. The API that allows us to grab data from the game and use it in amazing ways has been updated with guild raids. Today we're going to look at some of the possibilities this gives us. The API tool is something that allows us to grab data from the game and use it in different places, including my own completely free to use Google Planner Sheets. This was released in the last patch, and after I integrated it into my sheets, we could grab all kinds of amazing data live from the game. This included things like listing all your characters, their ranks, star levels, XP, passive and active ability ranks, and any upgrades you had attached to them. And that was already an incredible addition, and I updated my sheets to use this information so that people no longer needed to update the sheets manually every time there was a new character released. But now there's been a huge feature added to the API. Now our guild leaders or co-leaders are going to be able to grab our guild raid data and then use it in quite a lot of different ways. So let's take a look and see what this is all about. First, let's take a look at how you can actually access the data. This is honestly not something that everybody's going to be able to do themselves without learning how to read from an API, so I would recommend using one of the community-built tools once the data has been integrated in. Right now, we're all just getting our tools set up, and with the features being added during the middle of Season 70 of the Guild Raids, I expect those tools to be coming online for Season 71 of the Guild Raids. That's certainly what I'm targeting with my own free-to-use Google Planner Sheets. So if you're going to be using one of these tools, and remember, this is only available for leaders or co-leaders of each guild, then you're going to need to generate a new API key, even if you had one before for your player data. This is free to do, and Snowprint, the developers of Tacticus, have generated a website just for this. You can find it at api.tacticusgame.com, and there you click on Generate Your API Key. You're going to have to log into the website, and then you're taken to a screen where you can create a new API key. With a new addition, you'll see that you now have read access to guilds and guild raids. Just leave the days active as unlimited and add a new key name to help you understand what the API key is for. Then create the key. It's going to appear above in this section called Your API Keys, and you're going to be good to go. For my sheets, once I've released a version with a guild raid added, you just take your API key, you go to the FAQ and instructions page, and you paste it into whatever cell I've told you to paste it into. You hit that big click me button, log in again, and allow access. Then you're going to be able to grab all your guild raid data. One last important point is that the patch notes for the API tell us that the guild raid historical data for previous seasons is not available. Alongside that, there was a little bug in the current season data, so Season 70 will also be removed at some point. That's why I'm starting with Season 71, and it's going to be the real time for us to test all of this. So what data can we actually grab now? There's actually two parts to this, because you can grab information about your guild and then your guild raid data. For the guild data itself, you're able to grab your own guild's in-game ID, its tag, its name, its current level, and then you're able to get a list of all the people in your guild, their role, their level, and when they last logged in. So that last part could be used to check for players who have disappeared into the warp and need ejected from your guild, if you have rules that keep your guild fresh, that is. One thing to note, which is very important from a legal standpoint, at no time are we able to get the in-game names of players. We are only able to get a player ID, which is a long series of numbers. This is because of something called GDPR rules, which stands for General Data Protection Regulation. And that essentially means that companies are not allowed to share someone's personal data, and that includes in-game names, with other players. And rightfully so. What this means for you is that you should get confirmation from the other players in your guild of their player ID so that you can identify them and use their data. There isn't much more that you can do with the guild data itself, so let's move swiftly on to the guild raid data. On screen, you can see all the different stuff you can get, but I want to show you this in my sheets because it's going to be easier to see the actual information working. First, you have the season ID. So currently we're on Season 70. Then you have the Season Config ID, and this just tells us which set of bosses we're going to be fighting. Next, it's the Player ID, and as I mentioned, this is just a big long string of numbers, so I've hidden our guild's data here, but it is fully filled in. On my side, I'm then referencing that player ID and adding in the players' names, because my guild has happily let me use their data. Then it has a bunch of different information to allow you to identify the boss and which rarity he's in. So this is the tier, set, encounter index, encounter type, unit ID, boss type, and boss rarity. The important thing here is that if you complete all the legendary bosses, then you have to fight them again. So the tier tells you when you're doing another full round. We can also find their remaining health points, max health points, and damage that this player did in battle, and what they did it with. Was it fighting or throwing a bomb? Finally, it shows you when you started and finished the battle. And all of this data is pretty damn awesome, as it gives you a ton of cool things you can do with it. As I progress forwards, I'm going to be building this into my sheets for all guild leaders and co-leaders to use. But right now I just want to show you some of the potential here. And now I'm going to show you some of the things I'm doing already. And in the meantime, if you want to earn some free blackstone to help you on your way, you can use my Referral Code in-game today to get 100 free blackstone. Just note you can only use one Referral Code, so make sure you make the most of it. So we can start by compiling a season's worth of data. We could break it down across every boss we fight and look at the number of battles you take part in, the average damage you did, and the total damage that you've done to the boss and his side bosses. This is actually something I've been doing for a long time, but it was all manual input and took me ages. Now I'm going to have it automatically generated every season for me. Another thing I can do now is track across seasons the highest damage that each of my guildmates did for each legendary boss. So for season 70, it uses Guild Boss Season Config 1. I guess next season it'll be Config 2, and it'll keep going until it eventually wraps around to Season 1 again. My sheets will now automatically update when someone has beat their high score. And I'm also thinking of adding a Discord function where it announces this as well. That might be a cool little thing to do so you can celebrate together when somebody beats their high score. I could also expand this to other boss rarities, of course, but I'm not sure that it's really worth it right now. I think I just want to have a starting point for all these tools and then see where it really comes in useful with my guild, helping them to progress, before I add a bunch of other things that are just pointless. Another thing I record is the total number of battles we fought in each season and the number of battles per boss. This kind of helps me track our progress between seasons as a guild. And finally, I have a lot of really fun graphs that my guild all look forward to seeing each season. All of this is going to be automated, including graphs showing the number of battles we did each season, our total damage, and how our damage has improved versus the last time we fought these bosses. And there's so much more that we could be adding here. I think this is only scratching the surface of the amazing opportunities being afforded to us by the addition of the API. My only problem is how to deliver it to you all. Firstly, as I said, this is only available for guild leaders and co-leaders, so I'm wondering if it's a good idea to add it to my current planning sheets, or whether it makes more sense to have them as separate sheets completely. So basically, you have a personal planner sheet for your own stuff, and then you might have a guild planner sheet for showing all your progress as a guild. What do you think would be best? And do you have any other suggestions for things we could do with this data? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll keep you informed when the sheet is updated with a guild raid data for everyone to play with. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this is the only place where you can get this amazing free tool and any updates on it.